Hello, people. How are you? Wow, it's a pretty day here in Austin, and I'm in a really good mood. So I hope that you are too, and hope by the end of this live, I've been able to, help uplift you as well. I love it when people show up. So um, maybe we could have a fun conversation. So, a couple things. Hello, welcome, guys. Welcome. Hi, Melanie. Hope you're well. Gosh, we have not talked in a while, so I feel like we need to connect, especially in the new year. So, I wanted to talk about a couple things. And one is my newest podcast episode. So I don't know if you have gotten a chance to listen to it. And in fact, let's see if I have it and I can just put a link to it while we're talking. And this was a really interesting episode. I interviewed a woman named Cheryl Garove. And what I think is cool is the way that I discovered her. So let me see if I can put this in a link. What happened was I posted on my Facebook page. So this is a link to the newest podcast episode. I posted a link in my Facebook group and I said something about like, what positive change have you seen since coronavirus? And people were talking about, getting to spend more time with their families or cooking more or who knows. And she wrote, I lost 50 pounds or something. Maybe it was 40 pounds. And I was going through the comments and I asked her, I said, wow, that's amazing. Oh, great. What did you think? So here I will say, let's see if I know how to show this. Great. So Facebook user, who are you? Because I'd love to know who you were. And I'm so glad that you really liked it. I personally really loved this episode because I'm all about truth. And so is Cheryl, but even much, much more than I am. Anyway, so I emailed. So what I did was I went to her blog and I started looking around about her weight loss journey because I thought, wow, that's really impressive. And what I noticed on her blog was she wasn't just talking about her weight loss journey. She was talking about her food addiction. And she was talking about her own family's addictions. So her husband is an alcoholic and her child, her grown son, is a drug addict and is in recovery. Both her husband and her son are in recovery, but that she blogs about it so honestly and so openly. And so I reached out to her, Andrea. Oh, it won't put your name. I'm using a third-party app called StreamYard. And so when you leave a comment, it won't automatically put your name. So that's kind of a weird thing about it. But then I get to, if you see right here, I get to put these cool sayings and things like that. And I can invite people onto the episode or onto the live. And so that's why I use this. Okay, so I started to read about her blog and I was blown away because most bloggers, most people on social media don't really want to share the difficulties. We just want to share the really pretty pictures and like, look how great my life is. And the fact that she was so honest really touched me. So I reached out to her and I said, would you be a guest on my podcast? And she was really surprised that I did that. And she came on. So then we got on a call and she was so open with me and sharing about her life that I was just so touched. And then we recorded this episode. And my main question, I had a couple, was what inspired you to start writing about your addictions and your family's addictions? And it was partly for her own growth, partly to keep her accountable. But really, I would say the main reason was to touch others. And this is a time when so many of us are struggling. And to be able to say, I see you and I know what you're going through. I think there is something really powerful about that. And I asked her what it was like. For me, it's funny because when I think about sharing, deeper stuff, I worry. I don't necessarily mind. I can share it with you guys all the time. But when I think about my family, like my cousins and stuff, reading about it, it would feel really weird. And not that I have any major secrets, but just something about like people who know me, like my friends from high school reading about that. Somehow that feels very exposing. And I asked her what she thought about that. And she said she too was worried about that. However, the response from, say, high school friends who were like, wow, I never knew this. But then they would say, oh, we have addiction in our family, or we've been struggling with this as well, I thought was so poignant. That something like addiction hits everybody. I mean, I do think, you don't have to look that hard to find addiction if it's not in your immediate family, in your larger family. Depression, mental illness, things like, just real struggles. We all have them. And I think the more we share about them, the more normalizing it becomes, the more human we all become. And so that I found to be really refreshing in this time when we're all suffering in our own ways. And and a lot of us are suffering in silence, and there is so much loneliness and disconnection from each other. So for anybody who has listened to the episode, I want to know in a comment what you thought about it. And also, do you think that there's a place for you in your own blog to be sharing more about your struggles? I know, for example, that our house flooded about a year and a half ago. And it was really difficult. Like half of our house completely flooded. And I wrote an email about my house flooding and how devastating that was for us as a family. And I would say that I've gotten more feedback on that email than probably any of the other emails that I've sent. And people would respond back and go, I'm praying for you. And I hope you and your family can get through this, because we had to move out of our house and it was just a big disaster and something that we hadn't anticipated. And so it was really shocking. And I remember feeling really low about it, because what I learned is that my house gives me so much comfort and makes me feel really safe. And then all of a sudden my house got taken away from me and I lost my grounding and my rooting. And I felt very vulnerable and I felt very scared. And I couldn't, and so anyway, but my community really was so supportive and really responded. And I think that that's so interesting. So is there a way in your own business to add some truth and some vulnerability to what you write about? Because I think that right now, showing up with more of our warts and showing up with more of our failings is really, I think, important. This is a stupid example, but my daughter and I have been watching Ted Lasso. I don't know if anybody else has been watching it. And I was kind of I liked it, but it's just kind of, he's this really nice guy and he can always look on the bright side. And I said to my daughter, it's getting kind of tiring that he doesn't seem like anything really affects him. Then all of a sudden his wife wants a divorce and you could see his devastation and you could see how difficult this is for him. And he yelled at somebody. And I thought to myself, oh my God, he's human. And now after this episode, I said to my daughter, oh my God, I really like this show. And it is something about when we see the failings in others, I think that we can be gentler with ourselves and our own failings. Okay, let's see. Called Journal. Oh, wow. Okay, so Melanie, what is in Journal? And what kinds of personal posts are you writing in this section? And what is the response of your audience? Because I would love to know that. So one thing that is true, I interview a lot of social media experts in my podcast. And the theme that I keep seeing over and over again, especially since the pandemic, is people want you to show up, say, on Instagram, in stories, more authentically than you probably had in the past. And it's because people want to connect with real people and they don't just want this polished, I will totally check it out. Melanie, definitely. But people want people and they want to connect. And it's hard to connect with somebody who's perfect. And I think that is why I think celebrities in general are kind of losing their impact today than, say, 10 years ago when we looked up to them with such awe. I think today we want them to be more human and more approachable. I'm trying out this new app called Clubhouse. Is anybody else who's here? Does anybody know about it? So Clubhouse is an app that you have to get invited onto right now. And I've heard that that's because they want to kind of keep it like more exclusive and create this sense of like, oh, that's where all the cool kids are. But also they have to build out their infrastructure to handle more people, and they'll continue to open it up. And it's like, the way that I would describe it, it's like podcasting meets Facebook Live. So people, it's like audio, kind of like rooms where people are talking about things in real time, but it's not being recorded. Oh, Melanie, you're on it. Okay, Melanie, what do you think about it? Are you liking it? So I've been experimenting and just kind of going into different rooms. Now you have to get an invite. And so you have to know somebody who's on it. And then you get these invitations. And I've only gotten one invitation and I invited my husband. So if I get more invitations, I will let people know. I have a room tonight at 6:30. No way. Okay, what is this room about? What are you talking about? And is it your room? Because I don't quite understand exactly how it works, because there are these clubhouses and then you can become a member and then you can potentially go live in one of these houses. I'm addicted. Oh my God. That's so funny. Okay, so you're addicted. Yeah, and I've been reading that people are addicted, and I have been definitely popping in and out, listening to these different rooms or these different conversations and hearing what people are talking about. So wait, Melanie, what is your topic? Here, Melanie, do you want to come on my Facebook Live? Are you free to do that? Let me know, because I would love to kind of get your take. Oh my God, about growing a Facebook audience. Well, I will definitely show up so that I can hear what you're talking about. I think that's super cool. And so wait, Melanie, will you come on this right now? Do you have a minute to talk about it? Can I invite you? Let's see. Sure, great. Here we go. I'm going to give you this link. Hold on one sec. Melanie, I am going to send you a link to come on, and then we can talk about it, because I'm kind of, here we go. All right, Melanie, here's the link to join. Great. Okay. And so I want to know when you got on. So I got invited maybe a week ago, and then I didn't really do anything with it. And I only started checking it out yesterday. And so, and then I've been Googling to try to understand how it works. And so, so I don't know. So the jury's still out, but I want to hear what Melanie has to say and what's going on in her room. Okay. Melanie, hello there.
Push mute.
Yesterday. Wait, say that again. Hi there. Okay, so tell me about.
Hold on.
Okay.
I can't hear you. Hold on.
And so, so I don't know. So the jury, Melanie has to say, and what's going on in her room. Okay. Melanie, can you hear me? Hello there.
Push mute.
You can hear me. Wait, say that again. Hi there. Okay, so tell me. Are you on a delay? Okay.
Yeah.
That's really weird. Okay, wait. Are you?
Oh, hold on. I know what I'm doing. Hold on.
Melanie has to say, and what's going on in her room. Melanie, hear me? Okay. Are you there?
Okay.
Okay. Hello.
Yay!
Hello. It's Happy New Year. I don't know if we've spoken since the New Year.
I know. No, it's been awesome.
So tell me about. So I'd gotten invited onto Clubhouse, which is this app, like a little while ago, and then I kind of checked it out, and then I didn't really get it. And then yesterday, I went back on it to just see what was going on. And this is the funny part. I went into a meeting. I don't know what they're even called. And Paris Hilton was talking. Were you there? And she was talking about social media. And I thought, oh my God, that's so fascinating. So I guess certain celebrities have joined Clubhouse. And the idea is that, again, they can be kind of authentic and share their expertise. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. And then today I've been just playing around with it. So Melanie, tell me about your experience and what you're talking about tonight.
So it's super addicting, which is totally apropos for your topic today. I thought that was really funny. So basically it's called a room. So you hop in, and if you're brand new, you'll have like a little, party hat thing going on in the corner until you are a little more active with the app. And as you interact with the app, they will award you more invites.
Oh.
So the sooner you give away the invite they gave you, the sooner they'll give you more invites to give away.
Okay.
So,
you can only give the invites to people who are in your phone, like people whose numbers you have. Isn't that right? Like I can't like offer them on Facebook, for example.
Right.
It's like your personal friends.
Yes. So So, and then it's like really
fun.
When
did you start kind of playing around with it?
So like probably a lot of people, I thought I signed up back in November, like Thanksgiving, but you had to have an invite. I didn't know that. I was like, oh yeah, I signed up for that. And then I realized, oh, you had to have an invite. So I just got on it. I think it might've been last week. And so you just jump in, get in, find rooms that you have something in common with, and just be a fly on the wall and learn how it works, learn how to be a good moderator, and then go in and start your own rooms. And how did you do this? So I know it says like create a room, but there is this, there's a little calendar app in the bottom, and you can hit that and you can schedule your own room.
Okay.
And you can add a topic and a description, and you can add a person to moderate it with you.
Okay.
So it's fun.
All right, so is this your first room that you're doing tonight?
No, I've done another room, but it was just me and one other person, because we're all new to it. And that is what is amazing, is it's a level playing field. So when you see these celebrities like Paris, she's been in several rooms. She's in lots of rooms, and it is her because we've heard her speak, we know it's her. And, and then like Damon John from Shark Tank and all those people, they're all over it. So
I've heard Oprah has been in rooms. So for this question, I think it is right now only for iPhones. So I think that is true. And by the way, as people are leaving comments, what do I tell them so that I can see what their names are on StreamYard? Can you guys share what your names are? Because all it says is Facebook user.
So Jillian, it might be easy if you like pull up your live on your phone and mute it. Okay. And then you can see their comments streaming at the same time, and you can see who it is. So
I can see their names.
Yes.
Oh, that's super smart. I love this. I learn from you all the time. Okay. So you are going to go live, and do you have somebody who is going to moderate with you?
I invited someone to, I haven't messaged her or anything. I was literally just did it by the seat of my pants this morning and was like, bloop. And I had started the room for tonight, and I added her as a co-moderator, and I haven't heard from her, but I haven't had time to reach out either. So either way, I'm going to be going on, and I'll sit there till somebody comes on. And
that's so cool. Okay. So a couple things about it. You can't record. Now, I've heard that some people are figuring out ways to do it so that, for example, let's say I'm recording a podcast episode that I could be going live, or I could be on Clubhouse, like people could listen to the conversation, and, then I'm like recording my podcast. And so that's been like the big controversy, is you're not supposed to be recording. These are just spontaneous conversations, kind of like phone calls in a way, like, you're not recording your phone calls. And then once it's over, it's over. So it's like this idea of showing up and being spontaneous. And then can you explain this to me? The difference between, so there's a room like you're scheduling. And I think if you've done 3 rooms, you can then make
a club.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then what is a club versus a room?
It's like a group on Facebook. You have a club and you brand it, and then people can join your club. And then every time your club goes live, they can, they get a notification, things like that. It's just another way to like collect people. an audience. So I think it could be powerful. What I think for you in particular would be beneficial. Well, first of all, back a little bit up. Your only thing you have, since it's all audio and it's not recorded and they can't see you and they don't know you, and a lot of times you're going to be the stranger, and they are as well, is your bio. So your bio is key. So
very important. Yes.
when you're in the rooms and you have an opportunity, I would just tap on as many people as you can and just read their full profile, and not read it, but like just glance and be like, does it stand out to me? Is there something? And screenshot that and then put together your own that is powerful. You can change it anytime. It's not like the ones on all the other social media platforms where you have to dig to go find your settings and figure out where you change it and all that. It's literally, you can change it on the fly. You can, and you want to. So you want to have an opt-in on it, another place they can reach out to you on it. Any accolades or anything. I mean, I wouldn't make it heavy all about, hey, I got this award, or, people are over that, but just what you can do for people is on that.
Okay. And so, yes. And that is the other thing that I've been kind of working on my bio today, just seeing, and that people can search on Clubhouse with emojis. So it's not hashtags, it's emojis. And you can't put links in your bio. You can put a link to your Instagram and a link to your Twitter, but it's not like there are no hot links.
Right. So you can still type it out. And as long as it's something, readable, it's not garbledy, then they could type it in their phone if they want to. You just tell people to screenshot your bio.
So the thing that's interesting about it is that I was unpacking the dishes in my dishwasher, and I could be listening to this conversation. And I realized I am a podcast listener, which is of course why I created a podcast. I get podcasts. And one thing about podcasts that I love is I can be moving around and I can be getting coffee and I can be in the car and I can still be listening. And in a way, I like that much better than, say, watching YouTube videos, even if I've sped them up because I have to be at a screen looking at stuff. And so I noticed today, as I was making my coffee and unpacking, my dishes, I was listening on Clubhouse. And I think that's interesting for me because it's changing my behavior. And I wonder if I will continue to do that. Now, I was just kind of popping in and out of these rooms. Were you finding a lot of value?
Yes, in the well-moderated rooms. So when you're in a room and they let the people go on and on and on, you kind of tap out. But if it's well moderated and the moderator knows how to just distinctly, when they come in there, people raise your hand, you click the bottom, and then you're brought up to what they call a stage. And when you're on that stage, you're in line to be allowed to speak to the top person that's running the room. And they'll say, if they're good, they'll be like, okay, do you have a question or a tip? And, get to the point. And because people get on there and they really like talking about themselves, for a lot.
Yes.
Now, well, let me tell you my background.
Yes.
Nobody asked the background.
I was listening to one today and the person was going on and on about himself, and the moderator jumped in and said, so wait, okay, so what's your question? Mm-hmm. And it was like, you could see him going, oh, right, question. So do the moderators interrupt and say, hey, what's your question? Or let's get to the point. Because I in the rooms that I was in, I felt like everybody was very, very nice, but I was waiting for some, a little more push.
Right. And again, it can be a complete time suck. You really want to make sure that you are in and out. You get what you wanted. You get what you need. And if you're not getting what you need, then maybe you need to start a room, and be the one to get what you need off of that app, right? Otherwise, it can just be a time suck. So what I was thinking for you is that, so for your podcast, you need to create a room for when you do your next recording. And you record it and turn on your Clubhouse room, and everyone's muted anyway. And you just say, hey, this is a room where I'm going to be sharing with you guys my podcast recording like you would on a live on Facebook. And so literally while you're recording your interview, you're having it live on your Clubhouse room. And once the recording's over, you say, okay, we're stopped recording. And then you can go back to Clubhouse and just say, did y'all enjoy that? Did y'all have any questions? And you might have hands raised or stuff like that. But it'll also be in your bio where they can go and watch that or listen to that podcast later.
You mean put the link to that podcast episode
or just your
bio.
Podcast link.
Yeah,
it won't be that episode probably yet.
Absolutely. So that would be interesting because what's interesting is, most of the time I'm recording my podcast, and I would say that I don't tend to do lots of editing once it's done. Like if there is some weirdness, I will, but there are moments where, it breaks up and I'll go, can you say that again? Or somebody will be like, I don't like that. And so that'd be really interesting because that would all be live.
But not recorded.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there is something, again, this speaks to this new episode. So did you listen to my newest podcast episode?
I have not had the time yet.
No problem. But just this idea of showing up and being authentic and putting your truth out there. So you started a new thing on your blog where you're calling it journals.
Yes.
And what are you sharing? I know you said go read it, but give us
totally random. I said that because page views.
I know, totally. But in terms of
both of them, I'm kidding.
What do you want? What's your goal behind putting this out there?
The goal is really simple. So it's to reduce the bounce rate. So if you have diversified your blog into more than just what your niche is, then you can actually extend the life of your reader. So if you have a section on there that's got more personal things on it, the people who follow you for you are going to go on there and they're going to actually be interested and they're going to read that because they want to know more about your inside, story. So the goal is taking the audiences that I've grown and sending them different links to go to my blog for different reasons. And the journal section is literally just to be like, do you want to know what I'm talking about this week? And it's, separate from my everyday stuff like DIYs and shoppable posts. And every post has a specific goal.
I love that. So on these journal posts, is it more like, so today or this week, this is what I'm doing, or is it more personal?
It's more random. Yeah.
Okay. Like this is what I'm thinking about, or it's almost spring and I want to do whatever.
I try to make it relevant to maybe like what's going on right then.
So wait. Somebody is asking, okay, what is your page blog address, Melanie? So you share.
Southern Crush at Home.
Southern Crush at Home. Can you put that? Let's see.
I don't have the ability to type here.
Okay. Let me, hold on. I will. So it is. Oops. Hold on.
But yeah, so every post has a specific goal. And so I'm trying to keep them on a specific day.
This is Melanie's blog.
Yes.
There you go. Southern Crush at Home. Perfect. And Melanie, also in the comments, Jamie Ragsdale said that she'll try to be there tonight at your 6:30?
Yes.
Or 6 o'clock, 6:30.
DT, whatever. Central.
Central time. Okay. Got it. So anyway, I totally agree with you that offering different things on your blog is useful, especially I would say if you can grow it organically, meaning you have a very engaged audience who do want to connect with you. I did this podcast episode with a guy named Phil Palin, who I really like, and he's like a marketing branding expert. And what he said is you have to earn the right to expand your niche. Meaning you've got to, so for you, you've got this close relationship with your audience and they will come along with you to learn about you, to connect with you because you've built that. In the beginning, when you're just starting out, I recommend you really dig into your niche and become an expert in that niche. And then people start to get to know you and then they might go on a journey with you in another direction. But sometimes if people are too many different places, it is confusing for somebody coming to your blog. So I would say for you, especially because you've built these real relationships with people who care about you, giving them something extra makes sense. And then for the people who don't know you and are just over there because they saw a pin on Pinterest, they can go see the craft that they're interested in, and they might never know, oh, you've got this whole other personal side. Now, are you linking your craft posts to your journals? How are you letting people know? Only in your Facebook group?
Email.
So not even on your Facebook page.
Yeah, I'll mention it. I mean, heck, we get 4 posts a day. Why not? So I'll, but I don't publish it real time. So if I am going to make like a journal post today, I'll probably backdate it maybe a week ago so that it's not the first thing on my blog, and so it's only really seen by either SEO, and I don't necessarily SEO them on purpose, but I definitely don't keep them from being crawled because there's certain things on them that could be something searchable. Like one of them, I went to a wedding and it was at a specific historical house. So hopefully, if anybody's looking for that, they'll see it and they'll find me that way. So, but I do agree and 100% back up the fact that when you're starting, you definitely people don't really care.
They don't. It's so funny. We do coaching groups, and we just started our most recent 6-week coaching group. And it's so funny. And I've said this to the group, so if anybody's watching, each group has like a theme to it. It just so happens that different bloggers are dealing with the same issues or what would I say? They're in the different places in their journey. And it just so happens that we have a variety of entrepreneurs and bloggers, and they're all in different niches, although there are a fair number in the DIY space and some even in kind of mental health and some food bloggers and stuff. But the thing that I continue to push them toward is figuring out what specific niche they're in. And they kind of push back because I'm saying, yeah, I want to limit you because I want you to go deep, not broad. Deep. And I think that they feel that what if they run out of content? What if they get bored? That's one. And in fact, we're working with a lot of creatives, Melanie, like you. And the thing that I say to them is, oh my God, you have this gift. You are infinitely creative. You could take something that I think is like useless and make something beautiful out of it. But the flip side of that, and you can tell me if you think I'm right about this, that people who are infinitely creative have a harder time going deep because there's always something new they can create. So when it gets hard, when you have to put together that email sequence and you just don't really want to, and you have to use all this brain power and maybe you're blocked, you can look across and you see a piece of styrofoam that came in a box, and you go, I could turn that into something beautiful. And so weirdly, you kind of get distracted from the task at hand, which might be a little more challenging, so that you can go be infinitely creative. What is your thought about that?
That's 1,000% correct.
So that's the thing, that it's almost like I say to the women in the group, like, I want to take your box of 64 Crayola crayons, and shrink it down to a smaller box so that you don't have the luxury of, of coloring with all these colors. Like, let's focus on certain colors that you love, but that you're going to explore what that color really is before you go, yep, I'm bored with this color. I've got all these other colors in my box. And so I think that business building is this fine line between being creative and being able to see the styrofoam in a way that nobody else can see it, but also being able to focus on the stuff that's not that fun. Beginnings are fun. Middles, not that fun.
I agree. And I feel like when you get to kind of like, it's not the top because you're never at the top, but when you get to like a threshold where it becomes not that shiny new anymore for yourself, you don't want to throw that away. So the best tip would be to leverage. So if you can leverage it at a certain level so that it can carry on with or without your 100% full-time involvement, then that's where the key is, right?
What do you mean by that?
So you have to, when you're just getting started, you really need to do everything yourself. You just really need to be the one, because it's going to be your voice that's your superpower. That is your unique proposition that is going to sell for you. And so when you are starting something online with social media or a blog, then it needs to be all you. But at some point, somewhere, somehow, as it succeeds and grows, you get, tired, you get burned out, you get bored, you get, bored of it. And so you need to have the ability to put people and things in place that will help it along without you or with you less. So whether that means VAs or like partner, or I don't know, it can be so many different things that can help it continue to go on. And part for me, and this is just the very beginning of it, is that diversification. So instead of going and starting something completely new, Jillian, I'm able to actually take part of what I already created and grow off of it. So
I love that. Absolutely.
Let me have the blog I ever always wanted, which was the Dear Diary or the Let Me Tell You My Thoughts, and nobody may ever care or hear them or read them or any of the things, but it's mine and I can write that on there now.
I love that. I love that. So I think there is something called the possible adjacent, where you've got something that's working and you can build off of that in a whole new way. You go, oh, my audience likes this. Maybe if I do something, my audience loves my spring wreath. Ooh, maybe I could repurpose that for Halloween or for the fall or whatever, because I know they like this. And how can I then still be creative, but I'm building off of what my audience is already saying they like. And for you, especially, like that, you're right. You've earned the right to create a section on your blog where you can journal and you can just write about whatever, and you'll see how it does. Now, maybe your audience loves it and they want more of it, and then you give them more of it. Or maybe it's just a creative outlet for you, and you get to do this as a way to kind of refresh and put out a different part of you, a different creative side of you. The thing that I'm working on this year is building, like you were saying, systems where I know, okay, it is now Tuesday. And so I know that this podcast episode has to get live by Wednesday. And it doesn't matter then how I'm feeling on a Tuesday, because that's my work for the day. And so by having certain schedules, I can then hang stuff off of it because I just know what my work is that day, just like anybody going to a job. And, my love is my podcast, because I get to connect with people like you on the show, and I get to learn, and I get to build friendships. And especially during this weird time, Melanie, we've never met in real life, and you're one of my closest online friends. And it's only because of the internet and because of us building this relationship and you being on my podcast twice. And so for me, that's the foundation. That's the love. From that comes the work. Oh, I've got to make sure that I've edited the podcast, or I've got the images for it, or I've got all of this other stuff. But it's the love of the podcast that feeds all the other work. And I recognize that. And it's not always, as I like to say, it's not always puppies and rainbows. But because I've set certain things in place, I know the tasks that need to get done. And therefore, they're not as struggling as they might be without these systems in place.
Right. I agree. And I think that I did that similar thing. Oh, I'm going to call.
Oh,
did that similar thing for this year, and I call them my drop dead tasks, and like they are drop dead. Like there's so today I had 2 things that were drop dead tasks that have not been accomplished yet, and they were for before a certain time in the day, but it's kind of like, that's fine. But you know what? Nothing else is going to get done until those things are done. As in, like, I don't get to watch my Netflix thing that I want to watch tonight. And so until those are done. And
Absolutely. I'm the same way. I do the exact same thing. All right. So Melanie, I don't want to take up any more of your time because I know you're going live at 6:30 and I'm going to try and pop in there and I'm going to set up a room for, I don't know, tomorrow to, Melanie, I'll message you about it. And maybe, I don't know, do you want to do it with me?
Sure. What's
Okay.
it on?
I don't know. I don't even know. I'm going to come up with a top. I mean, it'll be about brand building. But I want to, talk about, maybe it'll be about my recommendations for growing businesses in 2021 and what I'm really seeing out there based on our own businesses, based on all the people that I talk to, based on our coaching groups, and by the way, it'll be about why, finding your niche is really important and valuable.
So maybe title it something like Finding Your Niche in 2021 or Trends or Niche Trends, something that is generic but short and sweet and powerful.
I will do that.
Because you only have like certain things on there because you can't do faces and things like that. Like your title of your room is huge.
Okay, great. All right. So I'm going to set that up and then we can do it tomorrow because I want to jump in and we'll see. And then if you've done 3, you can start your own club.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to follow you on this journey because I want to do that. All right. Well, thank you so much for popping in and I will see you later tonight.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, how cool is that? So, wow. So this is what's cool about the internet is we get to try stuff, and we get to, and we just get to make relationships. One thing that I keep hearing about Clubhouse is that it's a great way to build relationships. I've not done that yet. I'm going to probably try to figure that out tomorrow, but you get to follow people and you get to, I guess, interact and network with them. So the more I know, the more I'll come on here and share, and eventually it will open up. So know that, this is coming, and it might just be a flash in the pan. I mean, this has happened many times before where people get excited about something and then at the end of the day, it kind of dies out. So I will keep you posted. But if you are thinking about adding more, wait. So here I've got some Facebook comments here. So let's see. Ooh, I love this, Jamie. Yes, I'm going to share this. Hold on. Automation, delegating. Franchising yourself, passive income. I think that is exactly what we were talking about. How can you set up systems? The thing that I am working on this year and that I want to share about is how to set up habits where you don't have to push yourself as hard, where you set yourself up for success, where you sleep in your exercise clothes so that you will exercise in the morning. You just kind of set these things up so that they're triggers for you and that the next thing you need to do without putting all of that mental energy, or as I like to call it, mental load onto something. Let's see. So starting a small business is hard to delegate and start getting employees if needed. Yes, this is the catch-22. It's like you need to make money to hire people, but then so you can make more money. But at what point, do you go into debt in order to hire people? These are hard questions. And I have a whole teaching session on this. And my short answer is to hire out specific tasks, not even to hire people to then fill up a bunch of tasks. You've got a task, you go to Upwork or Fiverr and you hire somebody just to do that task. And hello, Chastita. And if they can do it and they do it well, then you give them another task and another task. And that's how I have found the people that work with me on my team. The most successful ones are the ones where I give them something and they knock it out of the park. And then of course I'm like, they've proven themselves and I give them more and more. So think about that. And that way it's not as expensive as like bringing on somebody for a certain number of hours or full time. That's just too much at the beginning. And each time you hire somebody, you got to put systems in place, which takes time. So it's not like you automatically, you've hired this person and now your workload's going to go to zero. In fact, in the beginning, when you're working with this person and you're onboarding them, it can be more work. So do block out time for that. And the other thing that I do when I bring somebody on is I make myself really available to them in the beginning with any questions that they have, because I want them to pick my brain. Maybe there's something I hadn't covered in some documentation I put together to train them. I want them to feel so comfortable coming to me with questions. And then the hope is that they learn this and then they won't be coming to me as often. But it's, I think, a really good way to build that bond, build that connection in the beginning versus saying, okay, here's the task, go do it. And then expecting them to be able to read your mind, be available, make it a slower process and recognize it in the beginning. It takes up much more time. Okay. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And I have a really nice podcast episode coming up on Wednesday that I'm going to go work on after I get off this call. And it is with a woman named Holly Ann Knight. And she has a blog called String and Story. And I loved her story so much that we just kept recording and recording. So I've broken it into 2 parts. So the first part will go live on Wednesday. And then this part 2 will go live the week after. And what I love about what she talks about is that so much of business building is trial and error. It just is. And over time, there I went. I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, over time, you stumble upon stuff that works. You have a hypothesis, you test it, you see if it works. And sometimes things do work. And then you figure out how to build off of that. And that's really what she talks about. I think it's a really great episode. I want to know what you guys think. And I think that the lesson in the podcast episode that I'm talking about that went live last week is really to be vulnerable, to put yourself out there in ways that are scary, to not come off so polished. If you follow me on Instagram, which I'd love you to do. In fact, I'm going to edit this to tell you. I am at Milo Tree app on Instagram. And I'd love you to follow me. And I'll tell you why. I'm doing a series in my stories every day where I share a little inspiration. My daughter has one of these like marquee boards with letters. And I started putting little sayings up every day. And now I've started to share them in my stories. And today, if you go to me on Instagram and you watch my story, you will see that today I have the words fail forward. And what that means is you test and you test. And most of the time you test stuff in your business and it doesn't work and it will fail, but you will learn. And that's how you move your business forward. So please follow me on Instagram, right there, Milo Tree app, and watch my journey as I share some little inspiration. And I'd love to know what you think. And if you follow me, I'll follow you back. So that's what I want to say. Be vulnerable, test lots of stuff, be willing to fail, and look where the traction is and go that way. Use that as your North Star and show up for your business. Show up and get your work done. So right now, I'm going to go work on my podcast that's going to go live on Wednesday. I look forward to your feedback. I hope you guys have a really nice day, and I will be checking in again soon. Okay? Bye-bye.